If you're a maintenance supervisor for a commercial property, you've had to deal with everything from leaky faucets to flickering light bulbs. But nothing's worse than that ancient boiler that's lived in the building since the day it was built, 50 years ago. It's enough to make anyone lose their cool. That's where Grainger comes in. With industrial-grade products and dependable fast delivery, Grainger can help with any challenge, from worn-out components to everyday necessities. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman, and president of Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting and emailrevealer.com. This show is brought to you by GetTheT.com. GetTheT.com and LifeChangeT.com. It's this brand new product that was sent to me by Ronnie McMullen, who's the president over there at GetTheT.com. And I've been taking this now for only 3 days. And it's been helping me to lose weight, maintain perfect health, cleanse your body from intruders, and reduce constipation. It's definitely working for that, that's for sure. But it tastes great. I've been drinking it for a few days. It's been cleansing me out. I think I've been losing a little bit of weight. I'm going to be going back on a Daniel fast, so in conjunction with this tea, and I think I'm going to be seeing a lot better results this time around. But so far, so good with this tea. I'm loving the taste, and I'm loving the benefits that I'm receiving from it. I got a lot of acid reflux, too. It's been helping with that as well. So GetTheT.com, check it out, and go to their Facebook page, too, and give them a little like there so that they see they're getting some activity from their sponsorship money here. We got a very interesting guest, kind of an exclusive guest. We have Lily Starling, who is a Northern California activist, and she was one of these admins of the many Bernie groups, and she's going to tell us her first-hand experience with these Russian bots, and there's some of the dirty tricks that went on during the campaign. Lily Starling, are you there?
Hi. Thanks for having me on, Ed.
No, thank you so much. We just met online like a day or so ago. So tell us about yourself. Who is Lily Starling?
So I am, I always like to describe myself as the oldest millennial. I am 35 years old. I grew up on the West Coast, and I'm part of a generation that's been, very politically active in the last year. 2 years, 3 years, but I also kind of remember a world before the internet, and so I feel like people my age in particular have a lot of interesting perspective on what's been going on with politics. Like, we remember the Clinton years, we remember 9/11, we all know where we were, and we've come into our own politically during this time, and we're also very, very active on social media. So we kind of form this bridge between generations of one political reality and another. And one of my roles in the Bernie Sanders campaign as a volunteer was managing a few of these different Bernie Sanders support Facebook groups.
Were you politically active before the Bernie Sanders campaign came along?
I wasn't necessarily politically active. I was an activist. I was at the Battle of Seattle in, was it 1999 or 2000? I actually wrote my college essay about it when we went in and, protested to shut down the WTO convention that was happening there.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I come from a long line of activists. My grandfather was on the front lines of JFK's Johnson's War on Poverty. My dad was a big activist in college, and he actually, when my dad was a young socialist, he picked up Bernie Sanders at the airport at the it was some big national socialist convention on the East Coast. And there was this young mayor from Burlington who wasn't even a real socialist, so the older socialists at the convention didn't really want anything to do with him. So they delegated my dad to go pick up this guy who was grudgingly being allowed to speak at the convention, and that was Bernie Sanders.
It's so funny because I'm an old New York leftist. I came out of the yippies. First, I was an anarchist, then I became a socialist. But us on the left, we eat each other up. No one's good enough for us. It's just, oh my God, it's just so I don't know, sad in a way. Oh God. Okay, so great. So. But you weren't really active in politics, I guess, then before Bernie came along, because you figured it was all the same, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was one of those people that was really excited about Obama the first term, and then I was not so excited the second term. I actually lived in the U.S. Virgin Islands for both of those elections, so I actually, maybe it was only for the second election. But anyway, being a territorial resident gives you a really different view of American politics because as the people of Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands have really discovered this year, their lives are basically dependent on the current whims of the administration. So when Obama won, it was the most ecstatic I had seen the population of the Virgin Islands. I mean, Carnival had nothing on Obama's election. It was a day of radical love and harmony on the island. Then over the years, it came to be pretty apparent that all that hope and change wasn't going to happen, and the bailouts, everything that ended up contributing to the concentration of wealth ongoing after the downturn really soured me on that. So I was, I think around the end of 2015, I was thinking oh, that's cool. Hillary Clinton's running again. Great. I guess it's time. Be nice to have a woman. And my boyfriend at the time said, well, have you heard about this guy named Bernie Sanders? And I said, no, I'm feeling pretty good about Hillary at this point. She seems pretty liberal, and it'd be really nice to have a woman president. And then he just kind of talked me through a little bit more of Bernie's policy and platform, and I went online and checked him out. And, fast forward a few months, and I'm the moderator of these Bernie groups. I'm, calling Hillary Clinton out left and right, and I wouldn't vote for her in a million years. And I was pro-Bernie all the way from pretty quickly after I found out about him. So I know that I never would have gotten as passionate about anybody else's campaign. And yeah, the level of engagement that I had in that campaign was really new to me.
Yeah, it was very hopeful in the beginning, right up until Nevada. I live here in Nevada, and when Hillary stole Nevada, which was so obvious.
That was so terrible.
Yeah, we're going to do.
And then we had, who was the reporter that wrote the fake story about the
John
Ralston?
John Ralston.
Right.
I better watch out because we're going to wind up in fisticuffs with me and John Ralston. Because I'd say I've been at events covering. I was covering a Hillary event one time, and it was in this tiny little room with 800 people. The little sign says maximum occupancy is 800. I'm standing right next to John Ralston. The room wasn't even 25% full. And then they brought in all these union guys, literally guys with the tool belts on. They pulled them off a job just to fill up the room. And no one in the whole place besides myself reported on any of that.
Mm-hmm.
John Ralston.
Yep. He, I know a lot of reporters, one in particular who was blacklisted because she refused to report positively on Hillary and was pro-Bernie. So she was, writing for the New Yorker and Times and all these papers and couldn't get work after she wouldn't agree to toe the line.
Well, for a while there, I was banned from the Trump rallies. They banned me from the Trump rallies. But then I got this. It's a funny story. I got this mysterious call one night by someone who was pretending to be like a poll taker. And I could hear her asking me questions, and someone was whispering the questions to her in the background. And I said, no, I'm fair and balanced. I'm going to report on anybody. I'm fair. And the next, the next day, they renewed my credentials over there with the Trump campaign.
Whoa!
Yeah, so many bizarre things happened. I could go on forever. What a weird year that was. It was just so bizarre. Now, what was your...
Right. I think a lot of people had the experience of just feeling attacked from so many different sides. And that's, to be expected in a campaign, but just the level of viciousness and underhandedness and really twisted actions, I think, was particularly brutal.
So give us an idea. What did you experience?
So I was in Bernie Sanders Activist, which is one of the larger Bernie groups, and it was it's really kind of how I got my start getting my work out there. I would share a post, and it would get shared a couple thousand times, and I added like 3,000 people to my Facebook friends list, and it's a pretty minor following, but it gave me a voice and a platform that really put some message out there and got me into these national circles of reporters. So it was, in the beginning, a really positive experience. There was just a lot of positivity in general. I mean, I wasn't always a moderator, but, once I was, and I was also I still am an admin of Bay Area, which is a smaller group, but still really quality. It was definitely a challenge. I mean, there was a lot of, especially as primary after primary happened. I mean, after New York, people were devastated. After Nevada, people were devastated. After Arizona, people were devastated. I was on the day that the Puerto Rico primary happened. And again, this is closer to my heart because I know how disenfranchised territorial citizens are already. So for them to be able to vote in a primary, even though they can't vote for the president, is really, really crucial to their sense of, being American citizens and having a voice. So to watch, old people passing out in the heat because they'd gone through and cut the polling places and the lines were hours and hours and hours long. And Bernie's message had really taken hold in a place that would have, typically gone to someone like Hillary. It was devastating, and I watched it happen in real time. So I understood why, as this was going on and we were watching just dirty trick after dirty trick and rigged primary after rigged primary, that people were getting really upset. And the gaslighting, being told like, no, it didn't happen that way. It didn't. You don't know what you're talking about. Was getting people like really, their nerves really on edge. And so the tendency for people to want to find any kind of smear article about Hillary Clinton was really intense. And I understand people wanted to believe, that she was going to go down for her emails, that she was getting ready for prison, that she, had done all kinds of horrible, unsubstantiated things. And it was coming from these websites that were, I sent you my list of red flag spam sites. Yeah. So people are getting a lot of crap. And it's, maybe at the end of the day, some of it could be proven, but probably not. In fact, it wasn't journalism. It wasn't any sense of real news. And people wanted to spread misinformation. That was one of the things that we were up against, and we were very clear with our members, like, hey guys, we're all frustrated, we're all upset, but really let's focus on substantiated news, and let's try and keep it as positive and focused on, Bernie Sanders' platform and the movement as possible. So that was one thing, just dealing internally with members who are frustrated. And that's why we are moderators. We're volunteering our time to not just say yes or no to posts, but to go in and deal with members' anger and frustration and moderate the situation. So it wasn't really until the close of the primary season that we started to see an uptick in bot requests, and they were very obvious. By this time, everybody had pretty much, who was going to join a Bernie group, had joined a Bernie group.
Right.
So when you're a group moderator, you can see, when someone requests to join, you can see how many friends are already in the group. You can see how many groups they belong to, not which groups they belong to, but, if they're more likely to be a real person if they're a member of like 20 to 100 groups rather than 50,000 groups or 0 groups. and then, the country of origin of their account. So right around the time the primary ended, we had a really big upsurge in requests from Macedonia in one of my groups. It was, it wasn't extreme. It wasn't like they were hundreds and hundreds of requests, but it was very obvious that, somebody who has no friends in the group in Macedonia is probably not here to come join the Bernie Sanders movement. It was very easy to moderate these posts, and if someone did slip through, there was our list of red flag sites that we can share information from, and there was all kind of key patterns, like they would post an article, and it was really formulaic. They would just type either "is this true" or "is this real?"
Right.
question mark, and some inflammatory fake article. And I did see in the groups that were not well moderated, or the public groups, those kind of posts really went wild.
What would make them go wild? Because people
were so angry.
Right.
People were so upset by the end of the primary season. That's, to me, kind of my point, is that if people think that those articles, at the end of the day, whether or not they were from Russia or the GOP or from misogynistic Bernie bros, really were changing people's minds at that point, I think that's a little naive. There was so much rancor and so much sense of betrayal and feeling gaslighted and feeling, that Hillary was not really justly not candidate of the, they had to pull so many dirty tricks to get her into that position that I don't think anyone was going to listen to, they weren't going to change their vote based on not having seen that article in the first place. At that point, people were just looking for confirmation bias. And it really, again, I don't think that there was much that could be done to get people to like or believe in Hillary Clinton, not because of what they had read, but because of what they had already experienced.
Okay, I would agree with you with the Bernie supporters, because you've been out to the rallies and stuff like that, and these are really intelligent people. There was a really smart crowd with the Bernie crowd, and I've been in the Trump crowds too. Okay, and I've also I've done some interviews or done shows that the title of the show almost seems like it supports Trump. So I would say, okay, listen, I might as well go and join these Trump groups and post the YouTube video in there and get a bunch of clicks on it, right? Make a couple of bucks. So I was, for a long time, I was a member of many pro-Trump groups. And just like you said, they would post those things over and over and over again. And let me tell you something, the whole crowd is buying it and believing it and loving it. So I think a lot of the Trump crowd was influenced by this Russian stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what I've been talking about in the past week with the other moderators, I mean, I made that post and so many different admins came forward and said, in our experience, these accounts weren't posting. A lot of them happened after the election, for one thing. So actually all these groups are still active. And after the election, another wave of requests came in. It seemed to be more about clickbait for advertising than actually, kind of like the National Enquirer. Like, you're not going to get somebody who picks up the National Enquirer to put it down and be like, well, why don't you read the New York Times instead? Like, they're already kind of, ascribing to a certain worldview, a certain bias, a certain way that they like to believe and digest information, and it's really just at this point about selling them something, using this information as a hook. So I don't want to say that none of this had the effect of propaganda, and I think that the GOP is incredibly sophisticated at propaganda, like the NRA in particular. I watched Trump deliver speeches that I had read in the NRA and kind of fringe gun magazines. It was like it was so obvious once like what that literature looks like, to hear his speech and go, oh, the gun lobby wrote that for him. They're very, very good at what they do. And I don't know, what I wanted to emphasize when I wrote about this is that we were heavily moderating these groups, and that it was the largest groups that were really, because we had been through so much and we'd had so many members, flame out, and we'd had, these attacks that took down our groups the night before, major primaries at the end of April, that we were on high alert for fake accounts, for fake information. And like you said, we're intelligent people. We didn't want to spread misinformation because we knew that wasn't going to help our cause. Whether or not it happened in the Trump groups, and I can't speak to that, I was not in them, but I'm sure there was, articles going around that, Hillary Clinton eats 5 babies a day, and James Comey's going to prove it, and we're all going to dance the grave of, liberal, terribleness, and it's all going to be this like Valhalla once Trump is voted in. So, yeah, I can't speak to that, but I know what happened on the Bernie side of things.
You mentioned some of the attacks, and there was some really, really serious attacks with child pornography. Can you describe that?
It was horrible. So it was a week before, or it was a week after David Brock announced his Barrier Breakers project, which was an offshoot of Correct the Record, which is his PAC that he is, famous for getting around campaign finance rules with his work with Correct the Record. And in particular, he was able to use the argument that the internet is free and open, and therefore it's not really a contribution because it's just words on the internet, and the internet is free. So anyway, a week after he announces this project, that he's going to launch this subset program that is directly devoted to taking down anonymous attacks on Hillary Clinton and, quote unquote, correcting the record about her. I think it was right in the evening. So, we use these groups to organize. It wasn't just about posting like, we love Bernie, right, and like cool memes. But we were coordinating all over the country. We had organizers, we had candidates, we had, progressive chairs. We had people in these groups that were using them in a really sophisticated way to boost voter turnout, to identify, like Brooklyn, as soon as, a voting machine was mysteriously broken, we had that out everywhere. There was no way that people could really hide what they were doing because our groups were so spread out and so large. So we had, on the night of April 25th, a third of a million members tried to log into their groups and found that they had been taken down. So I'm sure there's a lot of overlap, but with the group, the number of people in these groups, it was a third of a million people. The night before a 5-state primary that was really crucial, all of a sudden our organizing tool was gone and inaccessible to us. And of course, everyone was freaking out. They were writing posts on Twitter, like, don't panic, but also this is kind of a big deal. We don't know what's going on. Was that there had been a coordinated attack, because I don't think it's a coincidence that 5 groups get taken down, maybe it was 7, and that people had infiltrated and posted child pornography, gone through.
Wait,
and
you're breaking up a little bit, and what you just said was that people had infiltrated the groups, and they started posting child pornography.
Right. Just let me know if I break up again. My signal's kind of slow here. But so then, because a lot of these groups at this point, it was only April, and they were still public, it was really easy for anyone to go in and flag a post, and totally understandable that they would. It's child pornography. So they, posted this. It immediately, probably a couple thousand people saw it and flagged it. They got the groups taken down, and it was, 24 hours before they were back online in some cases. And at that point, that also had the effect of taking a lot of groups from public to closed or even secret. And that has a really big effect on how information gets shared, because now only members of the group can see the posts, and you can't share the posts outside the group. So it kind of had this 1-2 punch of shutting down these massive organization tools of the grassroots the night before crucial primaries and making this massive contraction of audience happen ongoing. From that point forward, we were much, much more vigilant about letting people in, about, sharing the groups, about sharing the posts. And it was really, we never really rebounded from the effect of that attack.
Yeah, I remember myself that next morning, I tried to log in to one of my groups. You made friends in there. It was part of your social life, and then the group was gone. And it wasn't until a few days later, I guess you found out from another group or Twitter or something, that this attack of posting child pornography by the opposition, so that then people would flag it, and then the group would get closed down. Now, did you see this reported in the news anywhere?
I did. A lot of people picked it up. The Hill reported on it. Paste, my friend Walker, who's a journalist there, who's done amazing work on some of this investigative stuff, posted about it. I saw it in the Washington Post, and those articles are still available. But what you'll see is that they all say, this is what's believed to have happened, because there never was any proof. There are some Reddit subthreads that kind of lead and wind their way to certain individuals that, kind of claim responsibility for this. And these individuals, are fans of these organizations, of David Brock. So it's just, like I say, if he was doing his job well, and he is excellent at what he does, we all know this, he would not make it easy for us to track it back directly to him. But literally a week after he launched this initiative, this happened. And the next part of this chapter is that once it was becoming more and more likely that there was no way that Bernie could pull this off. And I hate saying that, because I'm one of those people that went to the DNC, kind of knowing in my heart that he wasn't going to challenge the nomination, but hoping that he would. So many people really, really believed up until the last minute that he was somehow going to pull off a Hail Mary and get it. But anyway, as the primary season was winding down, what we started to see was groups flipping to Hillary Clinton in a way that was completely implausible, as far as the leadership and administrators of the group agreeing that this would have been a good idea.
Okay, let's wait right there, and we'll get to that when we come back after these commercials. Because now we're getting to a whole new stage of suspiciousness, of underhanded skullduggery. Okay, we'll be right back. We're talking to Lily Starling, who's an activist from Northern California. Lily, how can people get a hold of you if they want to talk to you?
The best way to find me and my writing is just on Facebook. My name is Lily Starling. It's Lily, Starling like the bird. And there's a few of us, but I'm the profile in black and white, and anyone who's a progressive probably has a lot of friends in common with me already. So I'm happy to have people read my stuff and share it. I still use Facebook as a tool to get this information out there.
Yeah, when you look up Lily Starling on Facebook, she's the prettiest one. The picture's in black and white. That's the one you pick on right there. Okay, we'll be right back with more of Lily Starling talking about the skullduggery and the underhanded, dirty tricks of the you-know-who and you-know-what.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator.
Hi folks, Ronnie here from Life Change Tea. There's a lot of hubbub about the ramifications of GMOs. First of all, what are GMOs? Genetically modified organisms. Yee! Man-made organisms entering our body, changing and damaging us from the inside out. What's our defense? First of all, not eating them. Second, cleansing from them when we do eat them. Thank God for Life Change Tea at GetTheTea.com. Life Change Tea cleanses from toxins, heavy metals, and helps flush GMOs out of your body. Our unique blend of herbs help cleanse you from the inside out, helping you feel refreshed and clean of yee. We also carry unique one-of-a-kind supplements. So order online at GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Rid yourself of the yee that contaminates your food and water. Go to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Get the tea, your best defense.
And now a word from our sponsors. Archival Revival, the Christian Film Archive, is currently paying for vintage Christian films. They are dedicated to preserving and restoring classic Christian films and media. So if you have original prints, negatives, or other film elements of classic Christian films, or you have audio recording masters for classic Christian record albums, they want to buy them from you. So email archival.revival@gmail.com and they're going to make you an offer. Archival Revival wants to preserve these classic Christian films so that they continue saving people for years. These films have brought people to salvation. They want to continue that. Their staff has decades of experience in handling and preserving of film elements, utilize the very best climate-controlled film storage facilities around the world. Contact them today at archival.revival@gmail.com. If there's someone you know has these prints, negatives, recording masters, or other materials from vintage Christian films, you can check out their blog at archivalrevival.blogspot.com. Now, just so you understand, Archival Revival wants to pay you for these films. So you can look in your church attic, in the church basement. If you have a friend who runs a Christian youth ministry, these youth vacation Bible study camp, they have these old films in those big metal containers, 16 millimeter and 35 millimeter. Archival Revival wants to buy them from you. So this is a sponsor that actually wants to give you money. And all you have to do is contact them, tell them what you have. If you're in the UK or Ireland or Africa, these films are all over the world and they're gathering dust and they're going to deteriorate if they don't get into the hands of Archival Revival. So that's archival.revival@gmail.com, or the blog spot is archivalrevival.blogspot.com. Don't forget, this show is brought to you by pscoco.com. Phoebe Sod is an independent curator with the Cocoa Exchange. The Cocoa Exchange is formerly known as Dove Chocolate Discoveries, and they make the finest silky smooth chocolate because the products start with the best cocoa beans, which are tested for quality and flavor by expert technicians. The Cocoa Exchange offers not just premium chocolates, but anything from sauces and spices to brownie and cake mixes, and even coffee and martini mixes. If you wish to treat yourself or someone you love to a sweet and tasty gift, then the Cocoa Exchange is the brand for you. So you go to pscoco.com, you click on the Shop Now button. You can see all their beautiful chocolates. You can order it right now tonight. It could be in your mailbox in a couple of days. Or if you want to get into the chocolate business, you want to be a chocolatier just like Phoebe Sod, click the Contact Us button and you can learn how to get your own website, go into the cocoa chocolate business and sell chocolate and make a little bit of money there. Remember, all these shows on Awake are brought to you by emailrevealer.com. You can go to emailrevealer.com and get a copy of my book, How to Become a Successful Private Investigator. But you also do all kind of different services for you. An online dating service investigation. It's called an online infidelity investigation. And that's where you give us your husband or your boyfriend, your girlfriend's email address, and we trace it back to their online dating websites. And we return a list of all the dating sites that email is registered to. We can expand on that investigation and trace it back to porn sites, escort service sites, swinger sites, gambling websites, and even prescription drug websites. If you think your ex-husband or something is addicted to prescription medication, or involved in an extreme online pornography addiction, we can produce a report for you that you can use in court. Adoption investigations. If you want to locate your birth parents or your birth child you gave away for adoption, we can do adoption investigations for you. Asset searches for you. Locate bank accounts, hidden assets, hidden properties, hidden income, all different kinds of services in the asset search investigation. Email tracing. If you need to locate or identify somebody from just an email address, we can do an email trace investigation for you, and all kinds of digital forensics, computer and cell phone digital forensics, where we can recover deleted content from an email or a hard drive and produce a report for you that you can use in court. That's emailrevealer.com, or you can contact me at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com. Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. We're here today with Lily Starling from Northern California. We're talking about Russian bots and Bernie Sanders groups. We're talking about the child porn, dirty tricks, and the theft of the Bernie Sanders groups coming up next. Right, Lily?
Yep.
So what happens now? As we left, our hero was telling us about the after the concession in Philadelphia, things got even worse.
Right. And it was kind of right around a little bit before, a little bit after. And I'll also, my platform, Facebook, but this also happened really intensely on Reddit as well. And to this day, there's a subreddit that you can go to that's supposedly Our Revolution, and it's private, and it says, hey, fans of Bernie Sanders, check out this other subreddit, which is subreddit Hillary Clinton. So they were really doing their best to coordinate the transition of these large groups. And Reddit was, Facebook was a force, but Reddit was really the backbone of social media and information sharing. But the idea was, and the general theory behind, the whole Clinton takeover and how she's just going to scoop up all these Bernie votes seemed to be that if they could just get a hold of all these groups full of all these passionate people and make them put the Hillary label on them and tell people these nice things about Hillary, that they would turn into Hillary votes, Hillary organizers. And I definitely have friends who are local organizers, who are national organizers that went to work for her campaign. And I do not fault them for doing so. We're looking at the craziest person we've ever had in office sitting in the White House right now. And I don't fault anyone for what they did after the primary ended to keep Trump out of office. So that's, my personal take on that. However, the general support that she was really hoping to gain by throwing a few progressive talking points into her platform really didn't materialize. And what we saw instead was this really underhanded, gross takeover of a lot of these groups by the Hillary Clinton campaign. Now, again, figures transactions that happen.
Wait. Repeat that because you just broke up again.
Okay. What we saw was the takeover of a lot of these groups by the Hillary Clinton campaign. And again, it's not something that I have records for, because if I could find, transactions between admins and her campaign, it would have been a lot, different story. What happened was all of these groups generally had a few different admins. They also had a lot of moderators, but admins are the only ones that have the power to take down a page and block other admins. And that's a really crucial role. To be able to kick other admins out and block them means that they can't get back in to exert any control on the page. So what happened was, after the primary, we saw a lot of these groups kicking out their admins. One admin would go rogue, kick all the other admins out instantly, no discussion, no argument, maybe a little bit of argument. And then a couple days later, the messaging would start to be, hey guys, we're really, we're all sad that Bernie didn't win, but we've got to keep moving forward and we've got to keep Trump out of office. So we're going to support Hillary Clinton now. And at that point, instead of actually becoming a Hillary group, what happened was a lot of those groups just effectively shut down because nobody wanted to do that. Not enough people wanted to do that. If they did, they would go join a Hillary for America group. There were plenty of Hillary Facebook groups, but the basically the hostile occupation of the Bernie Sanders groups by the Hillary camp did not go well. At this point, I was in a network of admins. We all shared a lot of admin duties in a lot of different groups, so we knew, who was kind of cool and who was a really dedicated Bernie Sanders supporter. And then, when we'd heard oh yeah, I got kicked out of that group too, which admin did it, it was, the consensus was like, yeah, I can see that happening. Like, I really trust that guy. And that's, to anybody that's worked with Hillary Clinton's campaign, something that her campaign is very, very good at is wooing people, wining and dining them, offering them. She's really much better at it than Bernie ever was. And I think that was a big part of his flaw in his campaign strategy. But, they will tell, especially young, starry-eyed people, like, you're going to be part of something. We value you. We're going to, show you our appreciation. You're going to, she also created, her campaign created this council shortly after the primary called Millennials for Hillary or something like that. And we got a hold of that list, and it was full of, people that were young and ambitious and supposed to, like, sheepdog all these millennial votes. So anyway, all these groups ended up getting taken over by the Hillary campaign. They didn't go anywhere. They didn't manifest any votes for her. But what they did do is piss a lot of people off. And I'm sure you have a lot of thoughts and you saw a lot about the Bernie or Bust movement. But none of these actions helped Hillary Clinton in any way with the popular vote. All it did was tell people that, she had a sense of entitlement, which we all knew, that her campaign thought that we were dumb, that we were just going to, shift with the wind and do what the admin told us to do. And it really soured people. And this has kind of been the thrust of my problem here, is that the Russians' influence on the progressive and the Democratic base was so tiny, if that is in fact a thing, compared to the unending crap that we went through from her campaign for months and months and months, and after the primary, and the hostility with which she, you could see her just like dripping, just like poison and glaring daggers at Bernie. Like, there was no love lost between them. She did not embrace his message. She did not embrace his followers. You could tell she was kind of pissed that, she'd had to put up with so much from
anyone.
From us.
From anyone, yeah.
Yeah, from browsers, from him, and it wasn't, it wasn't a fluffy relationship, and it was not a happy transition. And I'd say, that many, many more people voted for her out of fear of Trump than they did because they believed in her, at least in the Bernie, movement. So, yeah, that's my experience. I will say all these groups are still going, except for the ones that kind of shut themselves down. One of them was Bernie Sanders. That's one of the groups that I was booted from as an admin. I'm still friends with all the other admins except for the ones that booted me. That group changed its name, went secret, turned into like a multi-level marketing scheme for a little while.
Wow.
And now even people that are still in it, and it had 60,000 people at some point, can't find it because they've gone off into the weeds and basically betrayed their message and their base. So that being said, there's still a ton of really big Bernie groups. They've all found, some of them kind of transitioned to Jill Stein. There was other kind of shenanigans around that, but nothing as vile as what happened with the Hillary people. And now all those groups are working on, candidates who support Bernie's platform. And of course, many of us hope he'll run in 2020 as well. But the groups have stayed active. They've stayed, important as organizing tools for fundraising, for outreach, for mobilization, for shining a light again on the dirty tricks that continue to happen all over the country. And I feel really hopeful. I feel like we've all been through a lot of battles together, and we've learned a lot of lessons. And at the end of the day, we're still really, really committed to, not sharing fake news, to not approving bot accounts, and to moderating the distress and the anger that sometimes comes up for people in politics, which is at this stage in history pretty inevitable.
Hey, along that line, what can you tell us about what happened with U.S. Uncut?
Oh,
because they were doing good work in the beginning.
Yeah, they were. There were a lot of, I felt like there were a lot of these guys that kind of went that way. they either was that the one.
Well, U.S. Uncut.
You tell me what happened.
They were doing
How's
really
my
good
memory
work.
on
They
that?
were doing really good work. Then all of a sudden, it was like usuncut.com. Then another one came along called usuncut.net that was just blasting out spam and all kind of nonsense. But then when I was reading your list of spam sites, it seems like one of the U.S. Uncut news, whatever it was, changed hands and got taken over or something. So that was. And what did you make of what happened with the Young Turks?
Oh, I should be careful about what I say about them. So it was really this boyfriend that I mentioned that turned me on to Bernie Sanders knew about Bernie Sanders because of the Young Turks. Early on in the Bernie Sanders movement, they were, pro-Bernie all the way. They were positioned as this progressive platform that was telling you the stuff that other people wouldn't.
Yeah.
And I watched them kind of ride Bernie's star until they reached a profitable selling point.
There you go.
And at that point, they sold. And at that point, again, I don't have a problem with people who felt like they had to shift towards messaging and promoting Hillary Clinton, but I do have a problem with the media doing that, because that is not the role of the media, to heavy-handedly try to drag people one way or the other. The job of the media is to tell the truth. And yes, we all know every media outlet has a bias one way or the other, but the hubris and the kind of entitlement I saw around a lot of these organizations, it was like they were all going like they.
Well, you're breaking up again. They were all doing what?
Oh, sorry. They were all going a little power mad.
Right.
Like they had shifted from this mindset of we have a responsibility to tell the truth to we have a responsibility to get Hillary Clinton elected.
Right, right.
And again, it's like as a human being, I can understand how anyone in any job would feel that way. But the amount of intense and really, really deep damage that has done, I have people messaging me every week saying, Lily, I don't know what media to trust. Who do you read? I don't know who to read. Mm. And I don't have an answer for them either, because everyone was so compromised. The Young Turks was just a little bit more flagrant about it. It was very easy to just trace back Fusion bought them. Fusion is a subsidiary of Univision, and Univision was, has always been in the bag for the establishment Democrats and Hillary Clinton. So it's, yeah.
Let me ask you this,
because
we're running out of time. We only got about 13 minutes left. Are you familiar with Nico House and his investigation in North Carolina about how Hillary had people infiltrating Bernie's campaign the campaign managers and stuff like that, and the press officers? Are you familiar with that whole thing?
Yeah, I remember reading about that. I know Nico.
Yeah. Well, I was the first guy to interview him. I was the first guy ever to interview Nico. Then I put him on my station. I gave him my first radio show. So, did you experience any of that though? Because we did here in Nevada.
Infiltration?
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't a field organizer in any capacity. I was more, I was doing some actually investigation work for the campaign, which is another story. But I saw wasn't infiltration, but people being dumped from the rosters in California. So I worked the poll during the primary, and I saw just a staggering amount of people who had, who knew that they had registered and did not show up on the roster and could not vote.
Yeah, that was
and
that too,
yeah. And our county, our area, was one of the people that once they forced the ballot recount, switched from Hillary to Bernie. So, yeah, there was definitely something going on there. I know, I have no doubt that many, many campaigns in many states were infiltrated. I think Wisconsin is another example of that. I have friends in Virginia that say, if this person wasn't working for the Hillary campaign, I don't know what they were doing, because all they did was support Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, at first we thought it was incompetence, but then after a while, it's not incompetence. You could just see there was sabotage things. You can't get your calls through. They're not sending you press releases. Come on, give me a break. Yeah,
and it was very, very hard to get a hold of anyone in the campaign that would pass the message up. California was not well run.
Right.
There were a lot of states that just could not feed information back to, Bernie's inner circle, like, this is what's happening, this is an emergency, this person is, someone you need to get out of here. So, yeah, I definitely believe that happened, and it definitely hurt his campaign.
Yeah, there was quite a bit of that. We're almost out of time. What do you want to leave us with, and how can people get a hold of you?
So again, Facebook is a great way to contact me. I'm always open to having, chats with people. I don't know. I guess I don't want people to just go away from this with bitterness and rage. I never became a part of the Dem Exit movement because I don't let people get away with this. When someone kicks me, I don't just, take it and go home. And I don't want to equate what, the decisions that people have made about staying in or out of the party with, any kind of lack of fight. But I believe it is our obligation to continue this fight and to continue to call out these instances of inter-party aggression and underhanded techniques. And it's going to take a little while, but anything worth doing, and I do, still follow Bernie's mandate that we need a progressive takeover of this party. Just keep talking to each other, keep networking, and keep, definitely do your research on people. There's still moles out there. There's still people who are going to try and co-opt this movement and shut down groups. But it's important that we stick together, and it's important that we not let the lessons of 2016 go, but that we also not let it, poison us towards staying involved.
There's many more of us than there are of them, so we have to stick together, or we all fall apart. Lily Starling, thank you so much. If you ever have anything you want to promote, give me a call. We'll put you right on the air, okay?
Thank you so much, Ed.
Thank you. I wish we had a better connection. I'd keep you on longer. But thank you so much. Lily Starling, God bless you. Okay, there you had Lily Starling, Northern California. She said she didn't take part of Dem Exit because she wasn't from Nevada. Because man, if you saw the way they abused us here, and we couldn't even vote for Jill Stein because the judge ruled that we couldn't. Oh my God, there's just so much I could talk about. I got to do a whole show about this, just talking about myself, what I saw. We want to do a documentary film about what went on here, how they stole Nevada. And if I could ever get my act together and get some funding and get some help here, with the business and with the show. I had another person I thought was going to be helping, just fell through. So it's not me either, man. I give these people whatever they want to come here and help. Anyway, Lily Starling, great show, great information. She told us firsthand what was going on behind the scenes with these Russian bots, with David Brock from Correct the Record. By the way, you might recognize that name, David Brock. He was involved in a lawsuit because he was the boyfriend of none other than James Alefantis. And there was some kind of a dispute, the palimony kind of dispute, and they dropped their lawsuit because there was some kind of dirt that they didn't want to see go public. And it was threats to release unflattering information. What could that be? What could that be? And then you have these other allegations of child porn flooding websites. Oh my God, what a dirty campaign that was, man. What a dirty campaign that was. But anyway, if you like the show, check out OppermanReport.com. That's where we have our members section, where you can become a member. And there's brand new content that we add into the members section all the time. I'm going to be interviewing again T.H. Johnson. We're going to be talking about the shoe footprints in the O.J. Simpson case. I got a show that just went up about, remember, Here's Rupert, the whole thing in the controversy with the Hempstead case. We couldn't air that show, so we put it up in the members section. It's going to be available there. Remember that show, What Happened in Vegas about the guy that got beat up outside the strip club, did a movie about it. He talked about Eric Scott, good friends with Eric Scott's dad. We had him on the show, but then he didn't like, some people were making nasty comments in the chat room. He got all upset. So we took the show down. That's in the member section. Okay, there's a lot of great content there in the good old member section at OppermanReport.com. Exclusive content you can't find anywhere else, and that's what helps support the show. If you want to check out our new sponsor,
Hi folks, Ronnie here from Life Change Tea. There's a lot of hubbub about the ramifications of GMOs. First of all, what are GMOs? Genetically modified organisms. Yee! Man-made organisms entering our body, changing and damaging us from the inside out. What's our defense? First of all, not eating them. Second, cleansing from them when we do eat them. Thank God for Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. Life Change Tea cleanses from toxins, heavy metals, and helps flush GMOs out of your body. Our unique blend of herbs help cleanse you from the inside out, helping you feel refreshed and clean of yee. We also carry unique one-of-a-kind supplements. So order online at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Rid yourself of the yee that contaminates your food and water. Go to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Get the tea, your best defense.
You can have your ad played here at OppermanReport.com every Friday night, 5 p.m., and Saturday night, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And on Friday nights, too, we do a live portion for 1 hour that I just do a live monologue. The ads are very, very inexpensive, and they're also played in the Opperman Report members section. In the members section, you can find all kinds of exclusive content that you won't find anywhere else. It's as cheap as $6 a month, $20 a quarter, or $75 for a year. If you contact me directly at oppermanreport@gmail.com, I'll set you up with a little special deal there where you get a discount if you PayPal me directly, and you even get a copy of my book. I want to thank Sean Duff from strawman.com. He runs the website. He runs the member section. And I also want to thank William Ramsey, who helps us to produce the show and book guests. You can find Sean Duff at strawmanmusic.com. He's an excellent musician. You can find William Ramsey, who's an excellent author, at William Ramsey Investigates on YouTube. Remember, all these shows on Awake are brought to you by emailrevealer.com. You can go to emailrevealer.com and get a copy of my book, How to Become a Successful Private Investigator. But you also do all the kind of different services for you. An online dating service investigation. It's called an online infidelity investigation. And that's where you give us your husband or your boyfriend, your girlfriend's email address, and we trace it back to their online dating websites, and we return a list of all the dating sites that email is registered to. We can expand on that investigation and trace it back to porn sites, escort service sites, swinger sites, even gambling websites, and even prescription drug websites. If you think your ex-husband or something is addicted to prescription medication or involved in a extreme online pornography addiction, we can produce a report for you that you can use in court. Adoption investigations. If you want to locate your birth parents or your birth child you gave away for adoption, we can do adoption investigations for you. Asset searches for you. Locate bank accounts, hidden assets, hidden properties, hidden income, all different kinds of services in the asset search investigation. Email tracing. If you need to locate or identify somebody from just an email address, we can do an email trace investigation for you, and all kinds of digital forensics, computer and cell phone digital forensics, where we can recover deleted content from an email or a hard drive and produce a report for you that you can use in court. That's emailrevealer.com, or you can contact me at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com.